Yeah, let's get that starting grid loaded up. I'm pretty sure it's a sure and pace lap every single time we've run here at Summit Point, so may God have mercy on my soul. Jason Green gonna be starting from the provisional pole, well, from the actual pole, I should say. Jesus Rodriguez set to join him on the front row. We have Nate Colascio starting in third. Next to Samuel Parent, the Canadian, fittingly in the 4 car starting in P4. Parvin Ladar will find himself starting this race in 5th in the Bada Bing car. I apologize for that. Felix Samoas will start in 6th. Guido Marzuki, Russ Telker will round out your, I nearly said 8th row. They'll round out your top 8 with your 4th row, with Alan Degassis and Jim Brewster, the 2 Masters drivers, rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, and then we have Ken Poulin in 11th, Scott Brayler in 12th, Jeff Jacobson in 13th, Sander Verbruge in 14th, John Toms in 15th, Travis Rail in 16th, Kurt Nunez in 17th, Leon Frost in 18th, 19th is Dan Stasinski, Michael Chaluro in 20th, Nick Tolo in 21st, Hank Milley in 22nd, Jason Grider in 23rd, Wayne Buttermore in 24th, and then our last few drivers here, Brian Hansen, Thomas Puda, Joshua Flores, Daniel Salmon, and Chris Scriven rounding out the field in 29th.
So that is going to be your starting grid for the 3rd race of this Formula Vee Weekend Warriors season, a season which has seen it all. It's seen some very good racing, some drivers occasionally coming to blows, but just some brilliant racing action thrown in the midst of all of it as well. I'm expecting a good one here. Let's just wait and see how it's going to be between now and the checkered flag of this 30-minute long race that we have coming up. Happy to have you here on Slow Motion Broadcasting for this race, and while you're here, have to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But with that shameless plug about as slick as 80 grit sandpaper notwithstanding, let's get this race underway. The pace car down pit lane, the field down the hands of our pole sitter, the green flag is out, and the drivers are on their way. Jason Green getting off to a flyer. He's going to try and lead them as comfortably as he can, heading off into turn number 1. But as it's such a long run down into that first heavy braking zone, it's never a guarantee regardless of what kind of start you get off to. Heading down into that first corner, Nate Colascio looking to fight hard on the inside at side-by-side racing with himself and Jesus Rodriguez coming out of the first corner. Some drivers nearly bump drafting coming out of it. Here's the number 4 car, Samuel Parent, who we're running on board with now. This is into turn number 3. He's got 3 cars covered by practically nothing right in front of him. This is a real trouble spot. It bottlenecks these racers after side-by-side 3-wide action. You can see a little bit of these drivers fanning out, kicking some dirt up into the air coming out of that section. Now here's the trouble spot, the Tine Twisties. It starts off with this kink, turn number 4. Super difficult to try and get it woed up into turn number 5. Seen some drivers come to blows there in races past, and I think we've actually gone away with one. Actually, no, as I say that, we have a driver going for a half spin.
Oh, yeah, that was almost right on cue there. As you said it, he went off the road, but looks like he got control of it there, so some good driving. I believe that was Tom's that went off the road there quickly, but it looks like we have single filed out here, so we made our first lap through those really, really technical, hard sections there where, you know, the first lap's very difficult around here in a few spots, and it looks like we've cleared the first lap pretty well here, so we are racing single file, and man, oh man, that is going to be a long snake of cars for a while, I think, as Colascio pulling out to look for a pass here on Jason Green as we're going 3 wide.
Here we go, 3 wide down into turn number 1. Get used to this, folks. We're going to be seeing a lot between now and the checkered flag. These racers going to put a good one here side by side between Colascio and Rodriguez. That's nearly going to end in tears for Rodriguez. Got dangerously close to that outside dirt and outside gravel trap, heading off through turn number 1 and 2. Thankfully avoided it without any further issue, but as it stands at the moment, it's still close quarters stuff. Look at that, Samuel Parent getting that move done to slip his way up into P2. Marzuki dropping down a little bit, some side-by-side racing with himself and Jim Brewster. Not going very well for the Italian. Coming out of turn number 3, Nick Fleck learning quando fleur, and I'm occasionally speaking in tongues on this show. It's so difficult to keep track with these Formula V drivers. You think, okay, the race is finally settling into a groove. Then we got 4 wide action down the start-finish straight away.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes here. As a producer as well, it becomes very, very hard to kind of find where the action is. We're seeing a little bit of 2-wide driving here. Oh, and we've got a bit of a pileup in the back. Looks like Laturo, Scriven, Grider. And, yeah, that's a bit of a pileup. We will have to get a replay there. But, again, you know, in that section that just gets so tight in there, and it's so tempting to try to go for a pass or go for a dive, and I'm guessing that's what happened here, but we'll jump back and have a quick look and see if we can't find out what happened here, Ron.
Ugh, oh my God, look at that. That's 4 cars stopped, 3 wide, heading off through the exit of turn number 7. That's obviously going to result in some lawn mowing action. Let's take a look at these drivers heading off through the Titan Twisties. I said right during that first lap that it was going to end in tears for some racers, and it was a big stack up. I think Jeff Jacobson going side by side with Kurt Nunez caused all of it, having drivers mount on top of each other. Oh boy, don't take that quote out of context. Heading off through turn number 6, 7, and 8. Some drivers down in pit lane trying to repair the damage on their race cars. Hank Mell getting a piece of that action. Michael Latarulo, Nick Tullo, and Jason Grider running at the drivers currently classed outside of the top 25. I believe all of them had at least a part of that or had a front seat view of it all.
Yeah, it looked like it. Unfortunately, just a bit of a roadblock there. As you said, we had a car kind of climb another one. Just, not maybe the best spatial awareness, or just missed the brake a little bit there, got checked up on, but either way it resulted in a tire climbing a tire and then causing a roadblock, and there's not a whole lot a few of the drivers could do there, unfortunately. But looks like we've got a pass up here at front. Samuel Parent getting by Nate Colascio. I believe this is, oh no, I was going to say maybe it was on the straightaway, but nope, it looks like he's going to take him on the inside here before that scary left-hander with the dirt on the outside. It looks like they're going to kind of go too wide here for a bit, and then I would imagine, he's just going to let him file in there and take the lead for now, and I would think that's going to change right away as we come back here, and Colascio already going for it as we are just a pack of cars here at the front.
Yeah, that's the thing when it comes to doing these broadcasts, and Josh, considering you're the producer, I feel like you can attest to this a bit more than I can. It's like, here's a replay of some 4-wide action that we cut away from that replay, and it looks like we didn't cut away from anything as it's still 4-wide action. So that really speaks volumes. That these drivers, season in and season out, they just will not stop when it comes to the side-by-side racing. Great for us. I think some of these drivers probably have high blood pressure as a result, but that's neither here nor there. Jason Green using the smoke screen tactic on Felix Samoa as I was heading off through turn number 3, hit the gravel trap on the outside. That gravel trap is rather dangerous around here. Pretty much everyone has hit that gravel trap at some point. Even if you don't have a moment heading off through there, you'll still just run a little bit wide, maybe miss that apex. Heading off through turn 3 by a matter of like a foot, a little bit more, a little bit less. Then you're just going to drift off into the gravel trap. And with the reworked gravel physics, not only dragging that stuff onto the racing surface, but also acting like a bit of a brick wall that these drivers will slam into every now and then. That's going to slow you up quite a lot. So that gravel trap, even more of a blue shell than it was some seasons ago.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is, isn't it? I think everybody who's ever been on this track, that's probably one of the first places you go off the track. And then you continue to go off it for the rest of your iRacing career, trying to push it through that section. It's just, it looks like a corner, but it's actually like threading a needle through there. You need to just get it perfect as we're going too wide here with Rouge and Colascio into T1. We're going to see this over and over and over again into T1. And as we see, we're going up into this section I was just speaking about here. And it's really, really finite through here. You have to get it just right. You want to get as wide as you can. And if you touch that inside curb, it kind of upsets you to the outside. It's just so finite through there. You have to get it just right. And like you were saying, that the gravel on the outside is definitely going to slow you down. I think I've touched it a few times, and actually, if you just kind of skim it, maybe that's the best line you can get. But if you dip a tire in it, like you said, it's like hitting Velcro, and you're going to slow down.
I would make a sound to imitate Velcro, but I don't believe I can do such a thing. And frankly, I do not want to try that for the first time on Long Beach broadcast. I will leave that be. Jeff Jacobson has had some sort of moment. He's come into the pits in the number 40 car. We kind of saw a stack up with him cause that drama heading off through this very same section of the racetrack through 6 and 7. So not sure if there's been some sort of extracurricular moment for him. This may have been it. I don't have a good feeling about this. 3 wide down into turn number 1. He's on the outside in that purple and white car with the green accents. And let's wait and see. Some banging doors. Oh, no.
Okay, we're going to have to look at that again, because that may have been the best axle-to-axle two-wheel bump I've ever seen right here. Let's just have a look. Car on the inside, the orange car on the inside there. Bonk. Just knocked him with his axle to the outside, and then did the same thing to Jacobson, but unfortunately really, really upset him that time. And yeah, I mean, the first one almost looked like it was like a, hey, get out of my way. And then the second one, I think he was just trying to gather the car after the first hit there. And unfortunately collected Jacobsen in the process.
Yeah, that was just a messy incident heading down into turn number 1 and 2 as we nearly see some side-by-side racing action. Now is going to be involving Guido Marzucchi and Alan DeGassis. It looks like they single-filed out rather easily and rather quickly. I think side-by-side racing down into turn number 5 rarely, if ever, ends well. That section, I call it the Tine Twisties for a very good reason. You know the best way I could compare it? It's like one of those bendy straws that you see a child drinking a thing of chocolate milk out of in an Olive Garden. That is a very niche analogy. That's the only sort of like comparison that I have that pops into my mind at the exact point in time. Add that one to the list. Holy cow, I could probably have a coffee break with all the strange crap I've said on the air over the years. But nevertheless, through that section, side-by-side racing with little to no runoff area, it's either going to end two ways. It's either going to end bad or terribly. That could have ended worse, though, with Jesus Rodriguez nearly trying to go for a move off into the dirt and make it 3 wide with Samuel Parents and Nate Coliseo. That could have ended in tears. It's still going to result in a side-by-side fight between Coliseo and Parent. Another one involving Samoas and Jesus Rodriguez. Felix Samoas in that number 31 car is a driver that we have to keep tabs on a lot. As much as he may be the reigning Spec Racer Ford champion here in the Weekend Warriors world, he's won both races in the Formula Fords thus far, and he's also been in contention for some of these FV wins as well. Felix Samoa, a very strong competitor in that number 31 car, currently finds himself in third at the moment. He may be someone we have to keep tabs on between now and the end.
Yeah, definitely. He's he's a thinker in the car for sure, like a Jason Green type, definitely, or maybe a Felix Samoes type. Not sure which one came first, but there's he definitely likes to think in there, and he's always going to be a threat. You know, you can see him. He's moved up a little bit here, and he's kind of just, again, I always just feel like he's biding his time. Like he's thinking something. He's got something up his sleeve all the time, and genuinely, I'm right about that. He does have something up his sleeve, and we're watching Jesus Rodriguez here doing very well today as well, trying to get up closer to these guys. And you got to wonder, if they're out there just kind of biding their time a little bit. We saw Jesus last time taking some kind of interesting outside the box lines here on the straightaway in the grass to look for a pass there. Hopefully we don't see too much more of that, but looks like we're going to hopefully make it through the corner here. Yeah, and it looks like, we're going to see this back and forth. We got a really good group of drivers out here in the front, and I expect to see kind of back and forth. Anybody in this group, Jim Brewster now kind of joining the party as well as Parvinder Ladar.
And Jim Brewster is someone we're certainly going to have to mention throughout this. He's always the one, obviously he's a series admin, so it stands to reason that he's usually going to be very fast here. But at the same time, he always finds himself just prevailing in situations like that. Always keeps the calm, cool, and collected head. Finds himself in 6th at the present moment, your current Masters leader. And we'll also note that Jurg Mani not here this week, so the janitor not really playing into that card thus far here in Season 2 of 2025, so went very fast, though. Don't get us wrong at all. But Jim Brewster finds himself in the Masters lead currently, and Parvinder Ladar is your current leader in Spec 2. Those two drivers running the line of stern at the present moment can catch all of your class leaders in that same camera shot. I don't know why I suddenly got a British accent there as I said camera shot. Nate Coliseo, though, the number 8 car, currently leading. I say currently, as now it's going to be Felix Samoas in the race lead. Can never say who's in the race lead because it will age like milk in the Nevada sun literally 15 seconds later. Side by side, down into turn at number 1. Felix Samoas looking to grab that race lead, and with a good run coming out of it, he will be able to do that. But Coliseo actually going to have the momentum on the inside. As Russ Delker had a terrible run through 1 and 2.
Yeah, it looks like Telker kind of got pushed out there, perhaps. Perhaps it was a too wide battle going on right beside him. Let's have a quick look here. I think maybe either that or he was actually taking some kind of evasive. I think maybe. Oh yeah, it was a little bit evasive there. Almost got into the back of the fart car, but was able to control it. Yeah, gotta love saying fart car, by the way.
Yeah, that could have been a stinky maneuver if that resulted in tears, but thankfully it did not. But it ended, rather odd way. We'll say actually no. The next pun will be an incident with the fart car. It ended in a foul way. There we go. That's that maybe if we see Guido run in what's the name of the Mission R, the Porsche here on iRacing. Just if he ends up taking a driver out in a Porsche Mission R, we can say it was so pathetic.
Yeah, well, hopefully he won't do that. Nobody wants to drive that car anyway. Does that car even exist in the service anymore? I don't think it. Does it have a series still? Because we're going too wide here.
We are seeing too wide action. Thank you very much, Guido, for taking us out of a rather
Bailing us
sour
out, yeah.
discussion here. Oh! Holy cow! Look at that, Scott Brailer in the 210 car, making it 3 wide out of nowhere. What in the world?
Yikes.
Holy cow! These drivers 3 wide on exit. Marzuki nearly getting hung out to dry on the outside line. I have an absolutely terrible feeling about this, and right as I say that, they come to blows.
That was
Nostradamus,
bound to happen.
Me, whatever you want to say, it was going to happen with 3 wide action.
I am not sure what Scott Brailer had for breakfast, but he was not playing ball there at all. He decided to come in there, almost got into the back of Guido on that pass, and then just decided to be like, nope, track is mine. I'm going to stay right here. And that's what's going to happen when you do that. The Bullet Bill car, getting pretty froggy there, unfortunately. Kind of forced Guido off the road a little bit, but it's kind of hard to tell, from here, from inside, from above like this. And I guess we'll let the stewards deal with that one.
Dude, that was a very bizarre series of events. I've been doing this broadcasting stuff for over 2 years at this point. This is my 101st show of the year, and for the first time my entire time doing broadcasting, that was the quickest I've gone from making fart jokes to having to commentate a crash. So, wow, many odd things happen here in the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors series, and that was pretty good proof of it. But the action still got to continue with drivers packed in like sardines down into turn number 1. Let's see who's going to burst out of the can first. Felix Samoes finds himself in the race lead. Nate Colacio in P2. Samuel Parent running at your podium. Still got the likes of Jesus Rodriguez, Jim Brewster, Jason Green, Parvin Ladar, all involved in this pack at the present moment. Not giving us a single opportunity to breathe in the first half.
Yeah, no, we know how it races around here, and we're seeing Jason Green kind of getting shuffled back. This is and he's going to start thinking here. We're about halfway through the race that I don't want to be this far back. He's got to start making some moves here pretty soon, or he could end up losing that front pack potentially. So he's going to want to make some moves here pretty quick. Jim Brewster looking really good today. And, I've raced, I've said it more than a few times here, I've raced Jim Brewster a bunch, and he's going to race you, man. He's going to, he's always very clean, and he knows how to put a shoulder up, and it's really hard to get around him sometimes. And, or vice versa, he's chasing you down, and you're just like, I can't shake this guy. And that kind of seems to be sort of what's happening to Jason Green here, and we'll see how it goes. It's getting pretty froggy up front. We're just hoping it's going to stay clean.
It's getting froggy. I think I said this last time we had a race here. It's getting froggy, and we're waiting to see which one of them is going to wake up all of them on the lily pad. Which one's going to be the first to rib it? 3 wide action nearly. It was 3 wide for about a split second, but it quickly single filed back out. Never mind, they are still side by side, but regardless, it went from 3 wide to a slightly less terrifying bout of side by side action down that start finish straightaway. As much as you can fit 3 and 4 wide down that start finish straightaway here at this track, it's also, I can't even say it's playing like fire. It's like playing with firecrackers inside of a gas tank.
Yeah, not good. No doubt. It's definitely a volatile situation for sure. And it's like every lap into T1 and through that twisty section there is pretty volatile. Sorry, as we see Brailer going off the road in that section that just begs you to go off the road here, and he's going to lose a position because of that. Real easy spot to do something like that. I mean, I don't think I've gotten through a race here at Summit Point where I didn't get into that gravel at least once, and it's just a hard spot to stay out of as we see him going through kind of the tight, twisty section here. He's got a pretty good line, nice and tight. Want to keep it fairly tight through here. Get on the gas as much as you can. This is all flat if you get it right. Take a little bit of curb here, and then just flat out through here, hoping that you can get kind of a drag or a draft to the person in front of you. But Scott Brailer kind of falling back a little bit now after touching the dirt there. It looks like perhaps he maybe got a bit of car damage here as he's going to pull in.
Yeah, Scott Barrero coming in. And again, unlike the other Weekend Warriors series that we have here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, which you can catch every single weekend, don't have to worry about pit stops here in this series. So if you're coming down pit lane, you've got some damage or you've got some sort of penalty. Either way, though, for Scott Barrero, that's not going to help him out at all in the 210 car. I'm actually going to double check as we see this. Travis Rail does have a black flag. I will let you know that. But Scott Barrero does not, so that has to be some sort of outstanding damage on that race car. Nate Colacio just got moved on Samuel Parent down into turn number 3 to slip his way up into the race lead, and that is pure just absolute insanity. The biggest gap in that camera shot at the moment is the one between Parvin Ladar and Jim Brewster, which is about 0.2 of a second. Again, it is a very fluid situation, so as soon as I said that bit of color commentary, it aged like milk in the Nevada sun. But have it be known that that pack is incredibly intense, and some more side-by-side racing going on right behind them.
Yeah, we got a few packs kind of forming up now. We're a little bit past halfway. This is when the drivers start to kind of look for the finish, right? So I would imagine that everybody just had a little bing light bulb in their head, and they're like, okay, I got to get in front of this guy now. We're getting pretty close, and that's sort of what happens at this time of the race. You're going to sort of shift your focus to the guy in front of you, and maybe I can get that position sort of thing. And that's probably what's happening sort of around the track right now. Is we have a few packs kind of packed up. Jim Brewster leading in the Masters, Parvin Ladar leading in Spec 2, Samuel Parent leading in Spec 1, at least for now. That'll change momentarily, back and forth at least till the end. And Guido Marzucci getting really shuffled down the order here, back in 15th now, so not having a great outing today.
Yeah, it's been a torrid time for Marzucchi as of recent here in this race. So keep his chin up and his nose plugged that he'll be able to have a good finish to this race at the end of it in the fart car. Yes, those jokes will continue on all throughout this season. Mm-hmm. And yes, to all of you tuning into this broadcast, I feel just as ashamed at making those jokes as I should. Following Nate Colacio at the moment in the number 6 car, he is your race leader, Samuel Parent, slotted right behind in P2, Jesus Rodriguez, rounding out your podium. And as much as I've been talking about him a lot throughout this race, really his performance has proved why I'm keeping an eye on him. Jesus Rodriguez in that number 76 car. This is probably the best performance we've seen out of Rodriguez since, I would probably have to say season 3 of 2024, the last time he won the championship here in the Formula Vee Weekend Warriors. So you have to go back to nearly the summer of 2024 to find a performance which has been as standoutish as Rodriguez's has been thus far here at Summit Point. He's a driver that I think we really need to keep tabs on in that 76 cars. I think he's about to get moved on to slip his way up to second.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like, we've seen him in other races where you can tell that he's like, I'm probably just going to kind of hang back here a little bit. I'm not going to go for it. I feel like today, right from the outset, Jesus was like, I can win this one, and I'm going to try to win it. And it looks like that's exactly what he's doing here. He's kind of slowly made it up. Again, I was saying at the top of the show there that he can be a pretty exciting driver to watch because he does take some risks every once in a while. And he hasn't taken a lot of risks today right up until now. He's been very, very clean, and we haven't really had, although we have mentioned him quite a bit there, it hasn't been because he's doing anything crazy or frenetic or anything like that, as he takes the lead of the race here pretty smoothly and in a pretty commanding way there through the twisty bits. So yeah, I think you're right, Ron. He's got a real good chance today. I think he's playing his cards here, kind of showing his cards. If I was him, I would probably be doing this as well. I'd let somebody buy me here, and then near the end I would strike. But we'll see how it goes. These races can either go really, really good at the end or end up in a 6-car pileup, so we'll see how it goes.
Jesus Rodriguez, in his general driving style in that 76 car, he's usually rather concealed in terms of the pace that he shows off. He's not the flashiest driver in the world. He's usually just there lurking in the background, quietly scheming, and then he pounces, strikes that iron while it's still hot, and it works out very, very well for him. Knowing Milik, though, I'm probably going to jinx him. He's going to end up hitting one of the trees around here in a couple of laps time. For now, though, we got some 3-wide action going on right behind some of these racers, involving Sandro Verbruge, Alan Degastis, and Ken Poulin. They single file out off into turn number 1 with Verbruge getting the move done to jump his way up into 8th. That's for net P2 in that Spec 2 category. I say net P2, it is P2 in that Spec 2 category. And Ken Poulin currently running in 3rd. He's got a challenge with Russ Telker, though, so that may be a swaparoo waiting to happen for that final spot on the Spec 2 podium. And We also have Alan DeGassis involved in that battle as well. DeGassis in the 927, currently trying to get a move done down the inside of Verbruge off into turn number 4. That's a sketchy spot to go for an overtake at, because it leads you hung out to dry on the outside line, hang off through turn number 5. But Verbruge taking it oh so careful off through turn number 5, going to allow DeGassis to slip his way up to 8th. That was well done from the driver of the 927.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not an easy place to pass there. It usually doesn't work out, but we can see here, you try to take the outside, you sort of have to play ball. The guy beside you kind of has to play ball with you a little bit here. And yeah, as you said, it really leaves you with a lot of momentum into this corner. You try to get it wound up, and he did a really good job of just kind of taking the wide line there, cutting back over, and he was able to do it. But that's definitely with a little bit of help from the Max Verstappen car there for sure of Sander Verbruge, which is pretty cool livery, by the way, I might add.
For Sander Verbruge. That was the worst ever cover of the other Max Verstappen song that you will ever hear in your entire time here.
It's a pretty bad song, so.
Yeah, that's. Pretty sure the bass of that song gives me a migraine, albeit I have the personality of a 95-year-old man, so that may contribute to it a little bit. Look at that, Nate Coliceo sweeping around the outside, off into turn number 3, withstanding that challenge from Felix Samoas. Jesus Rodriguez, as I was giving him some praise, dropped back down to 5th. He's now back up to 3rd, was at one point in the race lead. That isn't telling of anything, that just shows you how these races can be a glorified game of leapfrog. Just one that's played at about 100 miles an hour on a racetrack instead of being played at about a half mile an hour on a playground. But still, it shows that Jesus Rodriguez, despite the fact he's been very quick in this race, he's not going to be immune from dropping back down and making his way back up. That game of leapfrog inflicts everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a push and pull game that you absolutely have to play. If you try to fight it too hard, all you do is let everybody else catch up to you. So, when somebody starts drafting you to play ball, and if you want to stay up front and you want to have a chance at winning, you need to let them pass you down the straightaway. You have to. If you try to block them and slow them down, or as we're seeing here, too wide, and you're probably going to see, there won't be a lot of fighting. We're getting into that point now, 5 minutes left, where you are going to start seeing fighting into T1 here, and you will start seeing people slow down a bit as they're trying to kind of get the lead of the race. But usually you want to try to keep as much momentum as you can up and not lose a bunch so that people behind you catch you. But we're sort of past that section of the race now, and now we're looking for the lead, I would imagine, for most people here with about just under 5 minutes left drawn. It's getting pretty frenetic out there.
Yeah, it's getting dicey, it's getting racy. These drivers going for some moves that they probably would not have gone for before. Look at that, 2x2, nearly 2x3, heading off into turn number 4. These drivers deciding that now is the time to go for the moves, and will these drivers go for some moves that end in disaster, or will it be one that ends in a trip to victory lane? Let's just wait and see. Side-by-side racing maybe got flare up between Jason Green and Jim Brewster. It looks like their single file off through 8 and 9 at the present moment. Felix Samoas now finds himself in the race lead. Jesus Rodriguez currently in P2, so I will call it right now. We're not going to see Felix Samoas leading, heading through turn number 1 right now. I can't say coming out of it, because that section, anything could happen. I remember the Spec Racer Ford race here last season in the Weekend Warriors, and the field basically blowing apart heading down into all that. I think Felix Samoas was involved in all of that, but now he's got to find himself in the midst of a side-by-side fight, maybe even a 3-wide one. Look at Nate Coliceo in the 8 machine. He's got to try and sweep around the both of those racers on the inside line. Look at that, Coliceo down the inside, gonna lick the stamp and send it to take the race lead, but Rodriguez still close.
Yep, that was a pretty standard one up the inside there. You're going to get that drafted for the inside car. You got the best line, and you're probably going to come out ahead, and that's exactly what happened to Nate Coliceo here. So people taking notes there, I would imagine if you can get that inside line going in, you're probably going to come out in first, although I'm not sure that's where you want to be on the last lap here, Ron. So, it always is sort of a game of chess here, whether or not you're going to be able to get that draft. You got to just kind of time everything right, be in the right position, and then sort of hope for the best. But I have a feeling we're going to be, pretty darn close over the line here with a bunch of cars, and we are coming around here. We're going to have maybe 2-3 laps left, three laps left, 4 laps maybe, and we'll be calling it here. So the time is now to find that position, get your strategy, and then hope it works out and be ready to switch, right? Like I always say, everybody's got a really good idea of how a fight's going to go till you get a punch in the nose, and then everything changes. And that's sort of how it goes here as well. You know, you can have an idea of how things are going to go, and then all of a sudden you're 4 wide with 4 cars that you didn't think were going to be there, and you got to kind of think on the fly. And that's exactly what's going to happen as Jesus Rodriguez here looking for the lead again.
We're at the stage of the race where these drivers are going to go for last-second decisions, and whether those last-second decisions result in disaster or result in a win, that remains to be determined. Look at Samuel Parent in that 4 car, trying to get moved on Coliseum, runs a little bit wide, heading off through 1 and 2. Hit that gravel, that's not going to help out his cause one bit. These drivers are going to be taking the white next time by, I believe. Then the race is going to get super, super intense. Jesus Rodriguez back into the race lead. Samuel Parent slipping into second. Nate Coliseum finds himself in third. Felix Samos, Jason Green running at your top 5. Jim Brewster and Porpito Lador still kind of involved in this pack. Lador dropping back a little bit. He's your current leader in Spec 2. And Jim Brewster, your 6th place runner overall at the present moment, is your leader in the Masters category. Both those drivers pretty much out of harm's way when it comes to swapperoos in that class. So I think the main fight is going to be for the overall win in this race and the Spec 1 win as well. As much as it may be a battle of class wins, these drivers are scored by their points in terms of their overall position. So even if you're a Masters driver, a win is a win regardless of who you are. That's going to make a huge difference at the end of this race. What these drivers are going to do, what they're going to be willing to put on the line is a thing that these drivers are going to have to think about. The white flag in the air. Jesus Rodriguez swapping sides of the racetrack down that start-finish straight away. Wants to break that draft, but he's going to be a sitting duck hang down into turn number 1 for the last time. Samuel Parent in the 4 car, the series debut for him, trying to get the win in his first ever race. But Coliseum, he's been in situations like this before. He goes for that move around the outside. Parent, a little bit slow in that midline, heading off through 1 and 2. That's not going to allow Felix Samos and the number 31 machines come oh so close to victory thus far this season. He's now going to try and get a move done to slip his way up into third. Side by side though, between Coliseum and Rodriguez, down into turn number 3. Avoid that gravel trap. That's not something Rodriguez did, but contact for Coliseum. He gets spun out of all that. Not sure who that was that sent him around, but either way, Coliseum in that 8 car going to end up with that falling infill, striking him flat on the top of his head. It's now Felix Samos in second in the midst of all of that. He's going to be in the catbird seat with Jesus Rodriguez in the race lead coming out turn number 7 into turn number 8 in a few moments' time. As much as he may find himself in the race lead, he's going to be the one punching the hole in the air, and that's not the spot to be in at the end of this race. We saw it last season. We saw it the season before. We see it just about any single time there's a draft-heavy race here at Summit Point, and I have a feeling that here for Season 2 of 2025, we're getting another case of deja vu. Felix Samos focusing on getting a good run. He hits the gravel. That's not going to help out his case one bit, and Jesus Rodriguez, in the miracle of all miracles, it looks like he's going to hold off Felix Samos. Jesus Rodriguez, for the first time in nearly 2 seasons, is going to win a race that isn't in Lebanon. Well done to Jesus Rodriguez. Unbelievable stuff at the end of that race.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing that he was able to hold on to it there over the line. That was a great finish there from everybody. Super clean driving. What a great race, Ron. That was a good one. This place always throws up some great racing. It's so hard, you know, at times to actually follow all of the action that's going on out there, as we're getting just close finishes all around the field here as well. Got a couple more drivers finishing. Good race between Daniel Salmon and Flores here, it looks like. Pretty good stuff, man. That was a pretty awesome awesome last lap. Let's see if we can't get a bit of a replay here of how that all worked out. I'm so surprised he was able to hold on to it here.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. You can see that's what won him the race. It wasn't even anything that Jesus Rodriguez did. It was running wide for Felix Samos coming out of that final corner. You could see that gap between those two was about a car length at the line. And I wonder how much that run through the gravel trap hurt him at the end of that race. As soon as I saw him go off, I didn't want to say it in the call to the finish, but as soon as I saw Samoa's run wide, hit that gravel trap, and kick all of that dust up in the air, I knew that it was going to be Jesus Rodriguez. Unless he missed a shift, it was going to be his for the taking.